Hopefully we will complete. I have been a little slow through it and I have been explaining this all. So today is lecture number 6 for your electric machinery fundamental course. Today's contents are for the transformer flux waveform and the voltage waveform. We have done this previously also, but just a little bit. Then I'm going to talk on the exciting RMS volt amperes, then the core loss of materials. Yes, good, please turn it off. Then I have the load line example. We will be doing one solved example, and then the very important thing, that is the volume of a magnet. And the last one is going to be, take this off, this is going to be problematic for me. So I'm going to solve a solved example also here in front of you. Now, if you remember your last lecture, that was on the transformer. That was, I told you at that time, this is from that article, chapter number 2, and it was article number, I guess, article number 2.5 over here. So please kindly go through it. I will not be going through it when we discuss transformers again. We come back at transformers after we complete DC machines, and most probably this will be in the 6th week or 7th week start. Okay? So we will come back to this one. Today we'll be just completing this transformer stuff over here and then move on to DC machines, because this will be done experiments over there. Now coming on to over here, you can see two waveforms over here on this side, as you can see very clearly over here. This is a waveform over here, and this waveform is plotted on assumption that you have a transformer, and inside that transformer the flux waveform is sinusoidal. You can see very clearly over here that the flux waveform over here is sinusoidal, certainly having some maximum value, and certainly this is being flowing because of some primary winding, and on the secondary side I am going to use this flux because it's actually going to have a rate of change of flux. So it will be actually converted into some EMF according to your Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, which we already know as ND∅ by dt. So over here, this waveform over here of the flux is the flux waveform inside your core, sinusoidal. Now I know phi t flux over here is equal to phi max into sine omega t, and this phi max we all know is equal to something A into B. Your A is the area of the core, B is the flux density inside the core, and since this phi max is actually a maximum value, we are going to have this B maximum over here. So this AC into B maximum into sine omega t, and if I put this one inside my derivative equation, I have this n out because n is not having any dependency on time over here. So I have only have AC B max sine omega t. AC and B max can also be taken out over here. So when we are going to take the derivative of sine omega t, you are going to get omega and cos omega t over here. So what happens, your ET becomes equal to a cosine function with certainly some different maximum value. Now over here you can see that over here the flux was this waveform, this was a sinusoidal. So now the EMF waveform is actually a, okay, why this is not, wow, this must be, just let me, oh my god. My kids have made this pen. Sorry. Okay, anyway, I will just do it. So what you have seen over here, the waveform over here for flux is going to be changed to your E over here. I will use the pen a little later, it will be charging over here. So E over here is the cosine wave over here. So E is equal to omega n AC B max into cos omega t over here. So ET is equal to, now in place of omega, if I write 2 pi f, we already know omega is equal to 2 pi f. So ET is equal to 2 pi f n AC B max into cos omega t. Now over here 2 pi f n AC B max, this can be regarded as E max over here. So this means over here E max is equal to omega n phi max or omega n AC into B max over here. So my ET equation can now be written as E max cos omega t. So this means that the EMF induced, the maximum value of it is dependent upon the omega, which is certainly 2 pi f. Then I have the number of turns n. Then I have AC, that's the area of the core, and B max over here. इसीलिए I asked him that this one is ET equal to 2 pi f n AC B max. So B max is the maximum flux density in the core. Now the point of concern over here, this is very elementary, you must have gone through this, or even if you are not going through it, very simple mathematics over here. So when you have your ET, you know your maximum value is equal to omega n AC B max. So what happens, you want to find out your RMS value. Your RMS value would be equal to E max divided by under root 2, and divided by under root 2 is actually 0.707. So you are just multiplying the peak with the under root 2 or inverse of under root 2 over here. So your RMS value becomes equal to divided by under root 2. So now the equation becomes for ERMS equal to under root 2 pi f n a c b max over here. So this is the normal equation for ERMS, that is the RMS value of induced EMF in the secondary winding. Now the important thing over here, if you see very closely, these two waveforms, the two waveforms of flux and E have been plotted. But if you see very closely, the waveform of the current I phi is plotted also over here. And that I phi over here has been plotted because of the BH curve. Now BH curve is having some linear region and some saturation regions over here. So you have to now plot it based on the BH curve, that what current it is taking. For example, if you remember your last lecture, we talked about in the core there were two types of currents going. One was called as the excitation current, that was responsible for the core flux. The second one was the hysteresis and eddy current losses over there. So in your magnetizing branch or the core branch, that was called as the excitation branch also, it was having two elements over there. One element was RC, that was having hysteresis and eddy current losses. C was actually for the core, you can write it as R, H and E also. Then the other element was an inductor, that was called as JXC or even LC over there, if you just want to remember it in terms of inductance. Now those two branches, they are going to take the current inside it, but I am more interested at present with the current which is flowing inside the inductor, because inductor, we all know, tries to take a current lagging behind the voltage. So you can see very closely over here, if E is the EMF over here that is being induced inside the winding, the flux waveform is a little displaced, but it is not sinusoidal in nature. Why it is not sinusoidal in nature? Because if you see over here, I hope this is a little now still not working. I don't know, it should be working. Still 28. Okay, now over here, if you see very closely, so I have this flux waveform over here. This is my flux waveform, and corresponding to this flux waveform, I am going to plot my I phi over here. Now see this very closely, because your BH curve is equal to, let me use some dark color over here. So if my BH curve is something like this over here, and I'm only concerned with this value over here because I only have the positive values of flux over here. So what I have done over here, practically we know this is B and H curve over here, but this B has been converted into flux phi, because we know if we divide it by flux or multiply it by A, we can convert it into flux. And if I have H over here, I know H is equal to Ni divided by Lc according to Ampere's law. So by using some constants, I can convert this one into your current over here, which is actually I phi current. Now this curve is now between I phi and flux. Now if I want to start from this zero value, from where I have to start? I have to start from this point. Then it is increasing trend over there. The increasing trend over here, as you can see over here, it is going from this point to this point. So at this point, I have this value of current. So corresponding to this value of flux, I have this value of current over here. So this value of current is at this point. Why? Because this BH curve started from here, it will go up till the maximum, and then when it will return back from the peak, this path will be traversed. So this point over here is corresponding to this value of current, which is I phi over here. Then afterwards, this flux is increasing and it reaches a maximum value. As soon as it reaches the maximum value, there is now a value of current which is corresponding to this value. So you can see as this passes this saturation point or the linear region point, the current saturates. For a very large increase in current, there is a very small increase in flux phi over here. So what happens? The current is not sinusoidally increasing. After a time comes, it increases exponentially and this bulge is formed. Why this is there? Because of the non-linearity of your BH curve. If your BH curve was something like this, for example, if this was increasing from over here to like this, and then it was coming over here like this, and something like this, then this was almost linear. Okay? Then this bulge would not be there. But since we know our BH curve is actually saturating after this point, so what is happening in this region over here, this bulge over here is being formed. When it reaches the maximum point, then it starts to decrease down. Now this time I am going to follow this trajectory, and you can see at this point the current which is being taken by the winding is actually corresponding to this value. Then afterwards, when I reach something, a point at 0 point over here, this point is corresponding to somewhat over here and corresponding to this value over here, which is having a 0. Sorry, on this one, this is at this point. So this is going to be corresponding to a 0 value on this point. So you can see this trajectory is being plotted over here in a current waveform, which is this point over here. Now, can anyone tell me that I phase over here is lagging or leading E? I phase is lagging or leading. I am talking about I phase. Is this lagging or leading E? It is lagging. It is lagging behind because E has taken its peak value much earlier. Phase or the current over here is after a very long time. And the shape is non-sinusoidal. Now, I hope so in CAD course you will be told a lot on this one. I told you in the very first lecture also on campus that there are two types of load in electrical engineering. One is called as a linear load, other one is called as a non-linear load. Linear loads are those loads in which your R, L and C, their value do not change throughout the sinusoidal cycle. But due to the value of current, if the current is maximum, your material saturates, just as in the case of this BH curve. What happens? The current is saturating and it's not going to follow a sinusoidal path, which means over here, if I draw this one, supposingly, let me draw it on another page. So if I have a sinusoidal waveform, something like this, and the current waveform does not follow this sinusoidal path like this. If it is following this path, it's a linear load. But if it is not following this path and it supposedly gives a waveform like this, this is going to be a non-linear load. Why non-linear load? Because it is not following the voltage trajectory. And why this is happening? This is happening, maybe either happening because of R being variable, L being variable, or C being variable. If it is L, then it will be either lagging. If it is C, then it will be either leading. Here I have just given an example over there. There are many loads in our daily life which are non-linear. For example, you will take out a current waveform, maybe even for this projector, even for my iPad charger or something, it will be a non-sinusoidal current. And non-sinusoidal current, so this is very important, listen to this carefully. Non-sinusoidal current, if you are seeing this one, this is actually being made by harmonics. What I mean by harmonics over here? Harmonics over here mean that if I want to plot this pink color waveform, this pink color waveform is actually going to be plotted with a waveform like this and an addition of waveform of the third harmonic. Okay, this is not right. If this is, let me just zoom in this one, and I have let me just clear this one and make a, because this is not according to. So I have a sine waveform like this, and I have another waveform which is like this, and then I have. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between these two waveforms apart from their magnitude? Frequency कम है ज़्यादा है? ज़्यादा है. If this frequency is supposedly equal to 50 hertz, this frequency is equal to 150 hertz. Now, if you are going to add these two waveforms, ठीक है? आप इन दोनों waveforms को you add them together, you are going to get something like this. A little. Like this, something like this, not exactly but approximately like this with a bulge in between. Now this red color waveform has almost the same shape as the first diagram over here in this one. What this means? This means that over here in this current waveform over here, which is I phi, I have two components. One component is having a frequency of 50 hertz. The second component is having a frequency of 150 hertz. Now, since you are engineers, you are always going to do a mathematical analysis. Now this I hope so. Fourier series पढ़ चुके हैं आप लोग अभी तक? In mathematics up till now, अभी नहीं पढ़ी है. So it will be coming a little later on in mathematics. This one over here is a 50 hertz over here. This one is a 150 hertz. You combine these two and you get something like this waveform. This is telling you that your I phi is actually composed of the third harmonic waveform. Harmonic means the multiple of it, the fundamental frequency. What is 50 hertz? 50 hertz mean the fundamental frequency, and in Pakistan fundamental frequency is 50 hertz. So your core, because of the saturation, it is taking a third harmonic, which is 3 into 50, 150 hertz. It can be 5 also, it can be 7 also, and it will be proved to you as you go on in higher classes that only odd multiples are possible, even multiples are not possible. I'm again repeating it. Your I phi over here is having a non-sinusoidal shape. As you can see, the shape over here is having a bulge. Now this bulge is being created because of two waveforms being added together. One is the fundamental 50 hertz, the other one is the 150 hertz waveform, and this is happening because of the saturation of the core. Now when these two waveforms are added together, as you can see in this last waveform which I just plotted over here, this one, when you are adding them together, the red color waveform you are getting is something like this over here. Almost same shape. There will be a lag because of the inductance, but otherwise the shape is almost the same over here. And this is actually a sum of 50 hertz and 150 hertz waveforms, and 150 hertz is actually the harmonic of your fundamental. Now your fans, if they are going to have a harmonic of third harmonic or fifth harmonic or seventh harmonic or maybe ninth harmonic, what is the disadvantage? Iska nuksan kya hai? Now listen this very carefully. If you are going to have a harmonic number of fundamental which is just 50 hertz, your system is designed for it. Your fan, your laptop or anything is designed for it. But if you are going to have a third harmonic and that is going to have a frequency of 150, we know your XL is equal to 2 pi FL. So when frequency increases, XL increases. So the current that is going to flow inside this one is going to be deteriorated. It's going to decrease down. So your efficiency of your machine is going to be reduced down. Plus, higher the frequency, higher are going to be the eddy current losses. Because eddy current is based on the rate of change of flux. So when you are going to have instead of 50 hertz, you are also having a 150 hertz or maybe a 250 hertz, that is the fifth harmonic, you are going to have more heat being generated, more impedance of the material or the device. So you are going to have less efficiency of your device working over here. So harmonics, even if there are like third, fifth or seventh, whatever number they are going to create a problem. Now practically your devices, this is actually a mathematical way of expressing a non-sinusoidal waveform in mathematics. In your engineering, in this all 4 years, you will be told that all signals or all asymmetric signals, they will be decomposed into symmetric signals of the fundamental, that is 50 hertz here in this case, then the third harmonic, then the fifth harmonic, then the seventh harmonic, 9th, 11th, 13th and so on. So your devices which have an inductance and they are having a saturation, their BH curve is saturating, they will have a problem over there. Now what this means over here, this waveform, when this is going to be taken up by the device, it's going to have a spike over here, and because of this spike over there, your power consumption is also going to be increased. Your efficiency is going to be dependent upon the 50 hertz. It's not dependent upon the 150 hertz. Aapka ye fan, just let me, we will clear this one after the midterm, but just for now, if your fan is being provided 50 hertz, it is going to have a speed given by 120 F by P. Now ये मैं थोड़ी जल्दी इक्वेशन दे रहा हूँ, but just to understand it, कि आपके पास इसको पंखे को आप, you are giving a 50 hertz supply and the number of poles in this machine are supposedly 4. Just put in the value, you will get a 1500 RPM. और इस fan के पीछे आपके पास 1500 RPM की speed लिखी हुई है. Now what is happening, because of the material inside the fan, your fan is also having a 50 hertz but also 150 hertz. So what will happen, the fan speed will be compromised. So fan is not going to give you the required output. So whenever a designer is designing a machine, you have to actually design it in the non-saturation region. Your machine should not be going in this saturation region, this yellow color region over here. But if you are a manufacturer, you want to earn some good profit, you are actually going to make it in more saturation mode, because you are not considered, आपने अपना पंखा बेचना है, चाहे उस पर लेबल लगा दो कि 80 वॉट का है. एंड वन थिंग वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, आई गेस देयर ओनली 2 or 3 कंपनीज, आई कांट नेम देम ओवर हियर, बट स्टिल देयर ओनली 2-3 कंपनीज व्हिच हैव अ पावर वॉटेज लेस देन और नियर 90 to 100. Otherwise, if you take any ceiling fan, not these fans, these are bracket fans, the ceiling fans, they are almost having a power consumption of 120 or 130 watts. जी बेटा. ये तो समझ आ गया कि ये करंट की वेव फॉर्म क्यों आ रही है, बिकॉज ऑफ द BH कर्व. देखो क्या हो रही है, नहीं, क्वेश्चन इज नॉट दिस, क्वेश्चन इज दिस टू अंडरस्टैंड योर फ्लक्स वेव फॉर्म आ रही है आपके पास, उस फ्लक्स वेव फॉर्म की वजह से यू हैव एन इंड्यूस्ड EMF. वो फ्लक्स वेव फॉर्म किस करंट से बन रही है, दैट हैज बीन प्लॉटेड ओवर हियर एज दिस वन. ठीक है, दिस हैज बीन प्लॉटेड बिकॉज ऑफ दिस BH कर्व ओवर हियर. BH कर्व मटेरियल की प्रॉपर्टी है. आपने अगर एक साइनोसाइडल EMF निकालनी है, उसके लिए आपको एक साइनोसाइडल फ्लक्स चाहिए. साइनोसाइडल फ्लक्स के लिए यू रिक्वायर अ BH कर्व ऑफ दिस वन, so that your current that is going to be taken up is going to be this bulging shape over here. Now this bulge shape in practical, when you want to do analysis on it, it's going to be decomposed into 2 frequencies. One is the fundamental 50 Hertz, the other one is 150 Hertz. As I just showed you also that 50 Hertz plus 150 Hertz just gives the shape of this bulge. You can add the 5th harmonic frequency, 7th also, and the results are going to be almost equal to this one. So this is just a way of representing it. Please remember, ऐसा नहीं है कि machine के अंदर the supply is taking 50 Hertz also and it's also taking 150 Hertz. As engineers, we are actually going to have mathematics done on all the machine. So this is just a way that to do a sine. हमारे पास कोई भी waveform आएगी, if it is symmetric across the x-axis, हमारे लिए आसान है उस पर analysis करना, because then it is balanced. Over here, this is not balanced over here. You are having a mismanagement over. So the easy way to do analysis is this, that one is 50 Hertz plus 150 Hertz, and then there is the margin, then there is 250 Hertz. So all these frequencies which are harmonics, they are being added together, and that addition is giving you the required current waveform. So हम क्या करते हैं कि हमारे पास जो source है वो 50 Hertz ही रहा है. WAPDA is supplying us the 50 Hertz waveform, but due to saturation of our core, it is taking a current waveform like this, and because of this current waveform, it has harmonics inside it, which means it has a 3rd harmonic, it has a 5th harmonic, it has a 7th harmonic, 9th harmonic, and so on. It can even go to up till 49th harmonic also in some cases, if the machine device is bad. आपने अक्सर सुना होगा, any of you is living close to some industrial area, ठीक है? If any one of you is living close to industrial area and they have big motors over there, those big motors, you will understand as this course progresses, that all big machines, especially induction motors, they always take a 3rd harmonic or 5th harmonic current. And if those machines are big and your industry is close to your house, आपके घर में अक्सर आपको पता चलता होगा, आपका मोबाइल का चार्जर उड़ रहा है, आपके लैपटॉप का चार्जर उड़ रहा है, आपकी हार्ड डिस्क उड़ रही है, और एनी अदर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डिवाइस, इट बर्न्स आउट. Why this happens? Because of the 3rd harmonic, 5th harmonic and 7th harmonic in ample quantity. अब ये करंट कहाँ से फ्लो कर रहा है? आपकी वायर में से. आपका घर एक इंडस्ट्री के बिल्कुल साथ है. इंडस्ट्री क्या कर रही है? It is having a 50 Hertz plus 150 Hertz plus 250 Hertz in ample quantity. वो करंट कहाँ से गुजर रहा है? आपके घर के सामने से जो वायर गुजर रही है उसके अंदर से. We know there is going to be always a voltage drop inside the wire. So आपके घर में waveform WAPDA से जो आ रही है, it will be changed from your sinusoidal shape to a non-sinusoidal shape. तो आपके घर में ख़ास तौर पे आपकी हार्ड डिस्क which requires a constant voltage to have a binary 1 written or a binary 0 written in your hard disk. I'm not talking about SSD at the present, I'm talking about the normal running hard disk over there. So for those hard disks you should have a constant voltage. लेकिन क्या हो रहा है, आपके पास sinusoidal voltage नहीं आ रहे, जिसकी वजह से उसके आगे जो कैपेसिटर लगा है, it is not being charged. आप एक सिंपल कैपेसिटर तो बना चुके हो ना, अब तक एक रिपल कैपेसिटर एक लगाते हो आप में डायोड के आगे टू मेक इट, लेकिन आपके पास क्या हो रहा है, साइनोसाइडल वोल्टेज पी तक जा ही नहीं रहा, इट इज़ गोइंग बिलो, बल्ज आ रहा है, इस बल्ज में भी करंट पूरी तरह से आ नहीं रहा जिससे कैपेसिटर चार्ज हो रहा है. दिस इज अ वेरी बिग प्रॉब्लम. सो ऑल दोज कंज्यूमर्स विच आर नियर एन इंडस्ट्रियल एरिया, they have this problem of harmonics. Don't worry, this harmonics problem will be discussed in very much detail by two other teachers in your next coming on years. One will be in power electronics course a lot, but I am since talking about machines predominantly over here in this course. There is also a problem of harmonics in machines also, and this arrives because of the material property. Material की property, if it is having a saturation, आपने designing उसकी saturation region में की है, then you are going to have harmonics over there. If you are designed, आपने BH curve यहाँ तक छोड़ के उसको यहाँ तक ऐसे कर दिया था, इसमें saturation नहीं आ रही है, आ भी रही है तो बहुत थोड़ी. So your waveform would be something ऐसे कुछ ऐसे बननी थी आपको waveform, almost near to sinusoidal. लेकिन आप saturation में जा रहे हो. Why you are going in saturation? You are a manufacturer. You need to have more flux. Why you need to have more flux? Because you need to have less area and higher B. लेस एरिया का मतलब है आपका मटेरियल की कॉस्ट कम है. सो एज अ मैन्युफैक्चरर आप पंखे की कॉस्ट कम कर रहे हैं, बी बढ़ा रहे हैं, जिससे आपका फ्लक्स उतना ही है. क्योंकि फ्लक्स आपको क्यों चाहिए? बिकॉज योर टॉर्क बीइंग प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय योर मोटर इज डिपेंडेंट अपॉन फ्लक्स. अगर फ्लक्स नहीं होगा टॉर्क नहीं होगा. सो व्हेन फ्लक्स इज रिक्वायर्ड, व्हाट दे डू, दे मेक बी हायर, ए स्मॉलर. लेकिन बी हाई करने से व्हाट इज हैपनिंग, यू आर हैविंग अ करंट वेव फॉर्म ओवर हियर. Now if you see this current waveform, this is having a very sharp rise over there, and this current, when it is taken up by the supply, this current waveform is called also as the in-rush current of your transformer, because huge spike and it's rushing inside your transformer. आपने अक्सर देखा होगा आपके घर में लोड शेडिंग होती है, देयर इज अ ट्रांसफार्मर, सपोजिंगली योर हाउस इज जस्ट नियर द ट्रांसफार्मर. ठीक है, आपको अक्सर देखा होगा आपका घर अगर पहला घर है जिससे ट्रांसफार्मर को सप्लाई दी जा रही है, एंड देन इट्स इलोंगेटेड ऑन द होल रोड ओवर देयर, द फर्स्ट हाउस इज गोइंग टू हैव अ डिप इन वोल्टेज. जैसे ही लाइट आती है आपके पास, इट्स नॉट 230 वोल्ट, इट्स अ ड्रॉप इन वोल्टेज एट दैट टाइम. यू कैन सी इट. अगर आपके पास एक इनकैंडिसेंट बल्ब हो, नॉट दीज बल्ब, the energy savers over there, अगर आपके पास एक नॉर्मल बल्ब लगाओ, जैसी लाइट आती है, it is a little dim and then afterward it goes bright. Why this happens? Because the transformer over there is going to take an inrush current. ये inrush current normally इतना होना चाहिए था, लेकिन हो कितना रहा है? It is approximately 2 or 3 times. That 2 or 3 times of current is producing a voltage drop. That voltage drop is producing less voltage to your home. So larger current, V is equal to IR, Ohm's law, the losses inside the wire increases and your voltage available at your homes, that drops down. So when it drops down over there, you get a less voltage. You don't get 230, you may be getting 210, 200, or depending upon your transformer or its lifespan, you are going to get less voltage over there. So this inrush current phenomena happens inside your transformer, and this is the flux waveform and the voltage waveform over here as shown over here by this BH curve. Any questions on this? Please ask me. This is very important. Anything over here? This is very important because this is again article 2.4 and 2.5 from chapter number 2. So I will be just visiting in a little bit when we talk about transformers again, but just for now, because reluctances, flux and all those stuff was being discussed, that's why I have discussed it over here. And since you are going to do experiments related to transformers in your lab also, so this is very important stuff over here. जी, next thing, हाँ जी पूछो. Stabilizer, what it does, it's a step up or step down transformer with taps over there. For example, just a little bit, since you have asked this question, that's why आपके ट्रांसफार्मर में in a step up transformer or step down, you have a transformer primary winding, and on the secondary winding over here, now you have 1-to-1 ratio over here. This is the dot, this is the dot, this is the dot, this is the dot, this is the dot. At normal operation, when you are having 230 volts over here, you are getting to supposedly 230 volts over here. Now what happens over here, you are going to have supposedly less voltage coming from over there, you are getting 210 volts supposedly. आपने उसको वापस 230 करना है. Why? Because your fridge, it requires the constant voltage. Now that for 210 volts you shift it and you connect your load at this point. Now this time you are getting 230 volt. Otherwise if you connected it over here, it was still giving you 210 volts. So these are taps over here, and these taps are controlled by relays over there, which are actually switching and first of all measuring the voltage that is coming on from the supply, and then they are switching it over there. Sometimes this 230 can go to 240 volts. When this goes to 240, ab ye zyada hai, so you have to reduce it. So you will come down over here on this tap and you will get 230 volt. So by taps you are changing the turn ratio of your transformer, and this all is being controlled by relays over there in a transformer. But again, अगर आपके पास that increase or decrease in voltage is happening in just like 1 second or 2 seconds, these relays or stabilizer won't do any good. Why? Because they have a mechanical relay, and mechanical relay at least takes 1 to 2 seconds to operate. It has a mechanical inertia. So अगर आपके फ्रिज के ऊपर you are going to have a little spike in voltage or a little decrease in voltage, normally the word used is called as sag or swell. If there is a sag in voltage, which means there is a little dip in voltage, or there is a swell, increase in voltage, that will not be detected by your stabilizer over there. For that purpose, the only other device that can be installed over there is actually a TVSS, transient voltage surge suppressor, and it's very expensive. एक 30-40 हज़ार रुपए के फ्रिज के लिए you can't install a 10-15,000 device over there. So stabilizer are the most important and the most cheap solution for this purpose. अच्छा, किसी को आइडिया है on anything? Answer me this question. फ्रिज को कांस्टेंट वोल्टेज क्यों चाहिए? अक्सर आपके पेरेंट्स ने बताया होगा जी फ्रिज वोल्टेज कम आ रहे हैं, भागो फ्रिज को बंद करने के लिए, जल जाएगा. क्यों? वजह, कंप्रेसर इज अ मोटर. क्या जी? any answer? Anyone? Have you a guess? Any guess? Your fridge is filled with freon gas, and that gas is under a pressure inside your whole chamber and the compressor. Now compressor is having a constant load on it. So उसने उस गैस को प्रेशराइज करके वापस चैम्बर में आपके पास भेजना है ताकि उससे लिक्विफाई करके आप उसको दोबारा कूलिंग कर सको. आपकी वापडा वोल्टेज इट गोज डाउन बिलो 230 वोल्ट टू मे बी लाइक 190 फॉर एग्जांपल. व्हाट इट विल टेक, उस पर लोड उतना ही है, तो व्हाट इट विल डू, इट विल टेक मोर करंट. वोल्टेज कम हो गए, करंट ज़्यादा लेंगे. एंड फॉर एनी मोटर इफ इट टेक्स मोर करंट देन इट्स डिजाइंड वैल्यू, द वाइंडिंग विल बी ब्लोन ऑफ, द वाइंडिंग विल बिकम ओपन सर्किट. The compressor inside a fridge is a constant torque. It's a constant torque machine. Fridge ho, defreezer ho, they always take a constant torque inside it. आप वोल्टेज कम करोगे, we know power is equal to VI, ठीक है, और we know power is equal to tau omega, ठीक है. पावर आपने सेम रखनी है, उसने स्पीड बढ़ानी है, उसने करंट बढ़ा लेना है. और अगर वो करंट उस वाइंडिंग के हिसाब से ज़्यादा है उसकी लिमिट से, इट विल बी बर्न डाउन. सो वेन एवर द वोल्टेज, स्पेशली अब सर शायद इतना शायद मैटर नहीं करता बिकॉज नाउ दे आर सम फ्रिज विच आर एक्चुअली कमिंग विद सम रेगुलेटर ऑप्शंस इनसाइड इट ओवर देयर. बट अदरवाइज इफ यू हैव एन ओल्ड फ्रिज समथिंग, इट कैन नॉट विथस्टैंड लेस देन 200 वोल्ट्स. उसकी वाइंडिंग उसी वक्त ही उड़ जाएगी, एंड देन यू विल हैव टू रीवाइंड द कंप्रेसर एंड ऑल दैट. एंड ऑल दिस इज बिकॉज देयर इज अ प्रेशर ऑफ द गैस, and that is having a constant torque load over there. आप इस फैन को चला रहे हो इस वक्त, it's flowing in air. मैं यहाँ पे इस कमरे के अंदर हवा का प्रेशर बढ़ा दूँ तो इस फैन को ज़्यादा जान लगानी पड़ेगी फैंस के ब्लेड को. So the same thing happens inside it over there. The load is constant. आपने वोल्टेज कम कर दिए तो other thing क्या है, करंट बढ़ेगा because the power is constant over there. So power when is constant, you are going to have that problem on your fan or the fridges over there, and the compressor will be burned down. They have that stabilizer inside it, or they actually sense it. मतलब basically what they are doing it, they are actually having a DC to DC converter over there. How they are doing it? First of all, they convert the WAPDA voltage, which is coming as 230 volt, into DC. They step up that DC. Now that's a totally different thing for you because अभी तक आप लोगों को ये बताया गया कि AC can only be step up. DC cannot be step up. But with electronics coming into play, MOSFETs and all this stuff or transistors, now DC can also be stepped up by high frequency. So उसको क्या करते हैं, अगर supposedly वापडा से 150 आ रहे हैं, so they will step it up, first of all convert it into DC, convert it into DC, step it up, and then convert it into its waveform. So those fridges are very good because they, even if the waveform is not sinusoidal, they will convert it into first DC, step it up or step it down based on whatever your requirement, and then make it again. So they are actually inverter based ACs, fridges. Just like these, ये मुझे नहीं पता this is inverter based or not, but inverter based AC जो थे आपके हैं, they are actually first of all converting your AC voltage into DC. DC voltage is converted back into step up or step down, जो भी आपकी requirement है. अगर आपने पंखे AC के करंट को कम रखना है, ठीक है, आपने कभी इन्वर्टर AC के करंट को अगर मॉनिटर किया हो, it goes on step wise. It goes on from like 1 ampere, 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, and then if it's a good brand, then it's going to go up till something 5 or 6 amperes over there. लेकिन एक दफ़ा कमरे का टेम्परेचर जब रीच कर जाता है, it reduces down. वो कैसे कर रहा है? It's taking it by the DC voltage. DC voltage कम कर रहा है, the AC applied voltage reduces, the current reduces. क्योंकि कमरा ठंडा हो चुका है, अब आपने कंप्रेसर को कम चलाना है. बट उसके लिए सिर्फ कंप्रेसर की स्पीड नहीं कम करनी है, आपको जो अंदर गैस है उसकी फ्लो भी कम करना है. एंड फॉर दैट देयर आर वॉल्व्स इनसाइड इट विच आर बीइंग कंट्रोल्ड. दैट्स व्हाई इन इन्वर्टर एसी एंड नॉन इन्वर्टर एसी यू विल फाइंड अ प्राइस डिफरेंस ऑफ अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 30 to 40,000 over there. That is because of this kit inside it and the valves which are used over there. So inverter fridges, वो inverter fridges है, they are actually inverter fridges because they can take, आपका जो inverter AC है, आप उसको 150 वोल्ट 160 वोल्ट पे भी ऑन करोगे वो ऑन हो जाएगा. If it's a good company certainly, not some cheap ones. So otherwise, if you are having a high voltage or low voltage, it will still withstand it and it can still work over there. But one thing very important, हम आमतौर पे आज के एक नया ट्रेंड है कि इन्वर्टर एसी चलाना है जी, इन्वर्टर एसी लेना है, इन्वर्टर बिजली कम खर्च करता है. इन्वर्टर एसी का फ़ायदा आपको तब है, you have an advantage when you run it for like more than 6+ hours. Otherwise, it has no advantage over there because first of all, it will cool the room, then afterwards its current will reduce down. Otherwise, there is no advantage of an inverter AC. Then a non-inverter AC is best, something for like this room, because the class यहाँ पे 1 घंटे 2 घंटे होनी है, and then afterward it's going to be closed. So inverter ACs are only beneficial when you are having the circuit or the room actually being cooled down for almost whole day or 6 or 7 hours. Gee, okay, coming on to this next thing, which is very important over there. We know your IRMS or I phase over here. We just did it. Your I phase was equal to HC LC by N. So over here this I phase RMS is equal to LC into HC by N. Same thing over there, but only thing is different over here is this, that HC is an RMS value. So I have my I phase RMS over there, and this I phase RMS value is being taken up from this one. So you have this waveform, this RMS value. अब इसकी RMS value निकालने के लिए again you will have to have some ट्रू RMS मीटर, बिकॉज इसकी हम पीक निकाल के मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 0.707 नहीं कर सकते बिकॉज इट्स नॉट अ साइनोसाइडल वेव फॉर्म. बट अगेन इफ you are just using a DMM, then still it will have some errors in your calculation. So now this I phase RMS is there. You multiply this I RMS by E RMS over here. You will multiply these two. You get something E phase or E RMS into I phase RMS equal to this form, which is now equal to 2 pi f B max H RMS into AC into LC. Now what this is telling me, ये क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे, E RMS into I phase RMS, this is the exciting RMS volt amperes. Why volt amperes? E is having a units of volt, I is having a unit of amperes. So what is this doing? This power is being consumed by the transformer core to excite it. ट्रांसफार्मर में ये कोर के अंदर वो फ्लक्स है, उस फ्लक्स को प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए दिस ई आर एम एस और आई आर एम एस इज एक्चुअली दी करंट फ्लोइंग ओवर देयर. सो मल्टीप्लाइंग दीज टू यू आर गेटिंग एक्साइटिंग आर एम एस वोल्ट अम्पेयर्स ओवर हेयर. So this is the power required in volt ampere. The units are volt amperes. Over here, the power required for exciting your material so that it can have a flux inside it. And if this is having AC, LC, and we all know what is AC and LC. AC is the area of the core, and you multiply it by the length of the core. This becomes the volume of your core. आपके पास एक कोर है, उसकी आपको मीन लेंथ पता है, क्रॉस सेक्शनल एरिया इज कांस्टेंट, यू मल्टीप्लाई दिस टू दिस गेट द वॉल्यूम ऑफ द कोर. सो इफ दिस होल इक्वेशन इज देयर, यू डिवाइड दिस होल इक्वेशन बाय द वॉल्यूम ऑफ द कोर. ठीक है, you divide it by the whole volume of the core, you are going to get with simple rho c over there. What is this rho c over there? This is the density of your material over there. So you have just simply PA. What is this PA? This is exciting RMS volt amperes per unit mass over here. Now what this is important, why this is important over here? This is important because as a transformer manufacturer, when you are going to go and get some material, आप उस मटीरियल के बारे में यू विल आस्क अ प्रॉपर्टी फ्रॉम द वेंडर दैट ओके हाउ मच पावर आई रिक्वायर टू हैव दिस रनिंग फॉर एज अ ट्रांसफार्मर. फॉर दिस पर्पज दे विल प्रोवाइड यू अ कर्व समथिंग लाइक दिस. नाउ व्हाट इज दिस कर्व टेलिंग यू? ऑन द एक्स एक्सिस आई हैव PA RMS VA per kilogram. That is exciting RMS per unit mass, that is per kilogram over there. So you have this one as this value, and on the y-axis I have Vmax. Now when you are going to make a transformer, आप एक ट्रांसफॉर्मर बनाते हो, उस ट्रांसफॉर्मर में आप B सेट करते हो जी 1 Tesla और 1 Weber per meter square, same units. So you will see over here on 1 Tesla you are getting this one. This is a logarithmic chart. So corresponding to this one, you will find out what is the VA per kilogram. This VA per kilogram is actually the power required for the core to have flux flowing through it. Now why this is important? Because transformer के अंदर हमने बात की थी last time in last lecture, there are two losses. One is eddy current and hysteresis losses in the core. The next thing is the excitation loss. लेकिन वो excitation loss resistive in nature नहीं है. Now if you see very clearly, one was called as the excitation current, other one was called as the hysteresis and eddy current. Hysteresis and eddy current was called as IH and E, or you can call it simply as I eddy or whatever you want to call it, and this was flowing inside a resistor. क्यों? क्योंकि hysteresis और eddy current were producing heat over there, and to represent heat we always use a resistor over there. But as far as excitation current is concerned, which is represented as IM or IE, it is represented by an inductor, and that inductor value was LC, or if you want to convert it into its reactance, this is JXC. Now this JXC, you all know inductor does not dissipate any heat ideally. उसकी कोई resistance होगी, maybe it can dissipate, but ideally speaking inductor does not dissipate any heat. So this means that inductor in one cycle it is going to absorb energy, and then in the next half cycle it is going to release that energy. Now there are three elements every time whenever you are talking about engineering, electrical engineering, R, L and C. R produces that heat, and in voltage and current, R have no phase difference between voltage and current. Agar there is a resistor, you have voltage applied to that resistor, current takes the shape of your voltage waveform. There is no lag or lead. But if you have an inductor over there, the current lags. When the current lags over there, this is going to have a power that is going to be absorbed and then it will be returned back. That power is called as the reactive power over there, and that reactive power is represented as Q. I'm again repeating, there are two types of power which are being used inside any of your circuitry, maybe this fan, maybe this projector or anything. Those two powers, let me go a little deep into this because there are two types of power. Whenever we talk about power, there are two types of power inside any device. One is called as the active power, and the other one is called as the reactive power. जी आप पढ़ चुके हो in your CAD? नहीं पढ़ा? पीछे कहीं CAD में? Come on यार, this has to be done. Now active power we represent it by P. And this P we already always know this is equal to VI cos of theta. ये फार्मूला तो पढ़ चुके हो ना? ठीक है? ये किसके अक्रॉस था? It was across any resistor or whatever circuitry over there. What was cos of theta? This cos of theta was the power factor of your circuit. What is was telling me? It was telling me that the current and voltage, if they are going to have a phase lag or lead, that angle will be theta. If they don't have any lag or lead, that theta value is 0. So when it is 0, cos of 0 is 1. So you are just going to have Vi. So this P is equal to Vi cos of theta applies to resistor. But the reactive power, which is represented as Q, this is written as Vi sine of theta. And for P, the units are watts. You are already familiar with this one. For Q, the units are VAR or simple VAs. Volt ampere reactive. VAR, volt ampere reactive over here. That is Q is equal to Vi. Now this is the power consumed by either L or C. Inductor क्या करता है? It stores energy in form of flux inside it and then releases that inside the next cycle. What happens inside a capacitor? Capacitor stores the energy in form of voltage, and then in the next cycle or the next half cycle, it reverses the polarity and gives you the energy back over there. Same happens in the inductor, same happens in the capacitor. So L and C, they are cyclic devices. And when I use the word cyclic, this means that if you have a sine wave applied to any of these devices, so half of the cycle they are going to absorb energy, the next half cycle they are going to release energy. So if I have a source coming from Vavda, you have an inductor placed over there. For half cycle, inductor will absorb energy. Then the next half cycle, it is going to give that energy back. That energy that is going to and fro from the source to the load and then from the load to the source back is called as reactive energy or reactive power over here, which is represented as Q. Now, you have P and Q. अभी तक आप लोगों को you were told, I guess up till now, that whenever you are discussing power, you represent or you just multiply voltage by current and you get the power. Okay? This was told to you in your elementary classes over there. S was equal to, S is the symbol over here, apparent power. मैं आपसे कहता हूँ जी इस फैन का पावर मेजर करनी है, मैं आपको एक DMM पकड़ा देता हूँ. आप क्या करोगे, DMM को पहले सीरीज में लगाओगे, you will find out what is the RMS value of current. आपको पता चल गया supposedly that is 1 ampere. आप वोल्टेज मेजर करोगे इसके क्रॉस 220 और 230 वोल्ट whatever, multiply this two, this is the apparent power. Why? क्योंकि ये आपको नजर आ रही है कि जितनी पावर अंदर जा रही है, बट उस 230 वॉट्स ऑफ VA पावर के अंदर the total power which is useful is active power only, because active power is being consumed inside the resistance or it is being converted into the mechanical force over here. जो inductors हैं अंदर, they are just producing that flux over there and the machine is working. So reactive power is being returned back. So when I have a power, the next thing which is important is called as the power triangle. And in a power triangle, I have a triangle and this is S, this is P, this is Q, and S we know it is equal to VI. अभी हमने बात की. This angle is that theta angle which is the power factor angle. So if you remember your rectangular components of a vector, this P will be equal to VI cos of theta. Agreed? X component over there, अगर आपका hypotenuse is VI, X component is VI cos of theta, and Q is equal to VI sine of theta. So P and Q are two different power. P is always consumed in a resistor, Q is always consumed inside L or C over there. Of L or C, remember this, L and C, they both are opposite to each other. अगर आपके पास एक इंडक्टर है और एक कैपेसिटर है and they both are working in parallel inside any circuit and they both are having the same XL and same XC, they will actually practically cancel each other. Why? I hope you remember it. आप जब XL निकालते थे क्या उसका फार्मूला था? 2 pi FL. और जब आप XC निकालते थे, this was written as 1 over 2 pi, this is 1 over 2 pi FC, and then if it was J symbol over here, this was J, so J was on top and this was J over here. हाँ जी. नहीं, देखो इंडक्टर के अंदर क्या चीज स्टोर हो रही है? फ्लक्स. फ्लक्स कहाँ से आ रहा है? करंट से. सो इंडक्टर के अंदर ये फ्लक्स प्रोड्यूस करने के लिए जो पावर चाहिए, दैट इज कॉल्ड एज द रिएक्टिव पावर ओवर हेयर. रजिस्टर के अंदर जो पावर है विच इज बीइंग कन्वर्टेड इनटू हीट, और इन आवर फैन केस द मैकेनिकल एनर्जी, क्योंकि ये वर्क डन हो रहा है आपके पास हवा आ रही है, यू हैव अ मशीन वर्किंग, इट्स रोटेटिंग, दैट इज कमिंग ऑन बिकॉज ऑफ द एक्टिव पावर ओवर देयर. सो आपके पास टोटल पावर दैट इज एस ओवर हेयर is actually a sum of P plus Q, and you can easily say from this triangle, I don't need to prove it mathematically, that S is going to be equal to P square plus Q square. Same thing, you can apply the VI cos into square, and cos square plus sin square is equal to 1, so nothing changed. Same thing, so this is equal to VI equal to S is equal to P square plus Q square. So I hope you have got it. Inductor and capacitor, they don't consume active power, they require reactive power. Now one thing very important, you must have heard from many of your whenever you are listening to news, आपने सुना होगा जी पाकिस्तान के अंदर there is a shortfall of 3000 megawatt, 4000 megawatt or something. The units are watts. Every time when you hear the word shortfall, it's always watts. आपके पास खबर आती है जी there is a shortfall of 4000 megawatts. Mega is 10 to the power 6. Watts is a unit. ये कौन सी पावर है? This is active power reduced. WAPDA is only producing P over there at Tarbela Dam, Mangla Dam or any of the powerhouses. जो reactive power है, that is going to be produced by capacitors at your power grid stations or near your substations. I'm again repeating. Your power that is useful, which is actually the real power that is required by you, is P. That is produced at any power station, that is at Tarbela, Mangla, Hapco, Capco, anywhere, any powerhouse. वो ट्रांसमिशन लाइन से फ्लो होके आपके शहरों तक आ रही है. Lahore has approximately 78 to 80 grid stations. Those grid stations have capacitors installed over there. हमारे पूरे लोड में इस यूटी की अगर हम बात करें, दिस प्रोजेक्टर, दीज फैंस और समथिंग, दे ऑल हैव इंडक्टेंसेस L ओवर देयर. L को कैंसिल करने के लिए आई जस्ट टोल्ड यू रिक्वायर कैपेसिटर. सो द WAPDA हैज इंस्टॉल्ड इन ऑल ऑफ दोस 78 और 80 ग्रिड स्टेशंस, दे आर हैव इंस्टॉल्ड कैपेसिटर्स एंड दे आर प्रोड्यूसिंग दैट रिएक्टिव पावर. सो वो वहाँ से रिएक्टिव पावर प्रोड्यूस हो रही है, इस प्रोजेक्टर तक आ रही है, हाफ साइकिल के अंदर एब्जॉर्ब हो रही है, नेक्स्ट हाफ साइकिल में वो वापस जा रही है. दिस इज टू एंड फ्रो मोशन. लेकिन एक्टिव पावर क्या हो रही है? एक्टिव पावर इज बीइंग एब्जॉर्ब्ड एंड कन्वर्टेड इनटू वर्क डन. दैट वर्क डन मे बी लाइट, हीट, और मे बी दिस मैकेनिकल मोशन. सो देयर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ पावर, P and Q. P is the real power which is required. हाँ, you cannot make a system with just P. मैं कहता हूँ जी मैं एक फ़ैन बनाना चाहता हूँ जिसके अंदर सिर्फ P यूज़ हो, क्योंकि वो मेरे इंपॉर्टेंट है. मैं Q यूज़ नहीं करना चाहता. आई कैन नॉट डिवाइस. वाई? बिकॉज इंडक्टर बनेगा ही बनेगा. आई रिक्वायर इट फॉर द फ्लक्स फॉर्मेशन. सो Q इज ऑलवेज द रिक्वायरमेंट. नाउ यू मस्ट हैव सीन, अगर आप यूनिवर्सिटी थोड़ा सा भी इफ़ यू हैव रोम्ड अबाउट, इन फ्रंट ऑफ इस्लामिया डिपार्टमेंट आपने वहाँ बॉक्सेस देखे होंगे, वाइट कलर बॉक्सेस ऑन द power lines over there. Those white color boxes are actually indeed capacitors. Why they are installed? Back something like 10-15 years back also, and 6 years back, WAPDA started penalizing us कि जी आपका power factor बहुत कम है. What is power factor? We know power factor is equal to cos of theta. If the cos of theta value goes below 0.85, 0.85 is a very important factor, and if you take out the theta value, this is equal to cos inverse of 0.85, the angle becomes something 36.67. Correct me if I am wrong. Now this angle is telling you कि आपके पास आपके लोड के अंदर वोल्टेज और करंट की वेवफॉर्म के अंदर जो लैग है वो 36.67 डिग्री से ज़्यादा हो जाएगा तो आपका पावर फैक्टर कम हो जाएगा. अब UET, since it's an educational institutions, we are going to have projectors installed. We have replaced all the the bulbs by CFLs or energy savers. They are all inductive in nature. So what has happened? The power factor is reduced to 0.65. This is a 3 or 4 years back value. So WAPDA penalizes us. उस पर हमारा UET का बिल ऑलमोस्ट लाइक 3 साल या 4 साल पहले इट वॉज समथिंग 64 लाख रुपीज़. उस 64 लाख रुपीज़ में से अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 1.5 लाख से 2 लाख पेनल्टी थी कि आपका पावर फैक्टर 0.85 से कम होके 0.65 है। वाई दिस इज अ पेनल्टी? बिकॉज वापडा को अपनी तरफ से कैपेसिटर ज़्यादा लगाने पड़ रहे हैं। उसने कहा हुआ है कि आपने 0.85 से ज़्यादा रखना है अपना सिस्टम। अगर आप 0.85 से नीचे जाएंगे हमें और कैपेसिटर्स लगाने पड़ेंगे, क्योंकि वो रिएक्टिव पावर प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं। आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर रिएक्टिव पावर कंजम्पशन ज़्यादा है। क्यों? इफ़ यू सी वेरी क्लोजली ओवर हेयर, थीटा एंगल इस केस में सपोजिंगली इज 36.67। अब जैसे ही मैं थीटा एंगल बढ़ाऊंगा, सपोजिंगली इफ थीटा एंगल इज इंक्रीज, दिस थीटा एंगल सपोजिंगली बिकम्स 40 डिग्रीज। क्या चीज़ बढ़ी है? क्यू। क्यू क्या है? रिएक्टिव पावर। सो रिएक्टिव पावर बढ़ रही है एंड दैट हैज़ टू have more capacitors installed. So what we did at that time, our teacher at that time, we thought on this one. आपने इलेक्ट्रिकल डिपार्टमेंट के अंदर जो पुरानी लैब्स हैं, just go and visit also some of them, जहाँ जहाँ पे आपके पास एक ट्यूबलाइट लगी हुई है। ट्यूबलाइट इज़ अ हाईली इंडक्टिव लोड। आपने देखा होगा, किसी को ट्यूबलाइट थोड़ा सा आइडिया होगा तो ट्यूबलाइट के अंदर एक चोक होती है जिसे हम चोक कहते हैं। दैट चोक इज एक्चुअली एन इंडक्टर, सो इट्स अ हाईली इंडक्टिव डिवाइस। उस स्ट्रोक की वजह से आपका पावर फैक्टर बहुत कम हो जाता है। वो शुरू में जब स्टार्ट होती है, आपने देखा होगा, फ्लिकर करती है एंड देन आफ्टरवर्ड इट स्टार्ट्स ग्लोइंग, बट स्टिल इट हैज़ एन इंडक्टिव इफेक्ट। हमने क्या किया, हमारे जो डिपार्टमेंट में लैब्स के अंदर, दे आर लाइक 30-31 लैब्स एट दैट टाइम, अब शायद 25 हैं। तो 30-31 लैब्स के अंदर जितनी जगह पे हमारे पास ट्यूब लाइट्स थी, हमने उनके साथ पैरेलल में एक छोटा कैपेसिटर लगा दिया। सिंपल रेड कलर 3.3 माइक्रोफैरेड और 2.7 माइक्रोफैरेड। उस कैपेसिटर को लगाने की वजह से हमारे यूईटी का पावर फैक्टर 0.85 से ऊपर चला गया। एंड आई गेस वी रिपीटेड दिस वन इन द मैकेनिकल डिपार्टमेंट ऑल्सो। दिस इनिशिएटिव वाज डन बाय द इलेक्ट्रिकल डिपार्टमेंट, क्योंकि हमारे उसमें आता है। सो वी अटैच्ड कैपेसिटर्स ओवर देयर, बट स्टिल इट वाज नॉट सिग्निफिकेंट। फिर क्या हुआ, दिस प्रोजेक्टर्स केम एट माई टाइम, देयर वर नो प्रोजेक्टर्स एक्चुअली, देयर वर ओवरहेड प्रोजेक्टर्स एट दैट टाइम। When this projectors came, the CFL came. Previously tubes होती थी, bulbs होते थे. When this CFL came, the power factor again got down. Then those capacitors just outside your Islamia department, they were installed. They are working at 11 kV and they are again producing reactive power over here. So abhi bhi, I guess, I don't know the actual present position at present, but I guess we still are having that penalty. Why? Because अब जितने भी computers आ रहे हैं, laptops आ रहे हैं, they are having a very low power factor over there. So almost all the devices in our UET, they are having this problem of low power factor, and WAPDA bill is always having that 2 to 3 lakhs penalty every month, especially in the summer season. So this is very, आपके घरों के अंदर ये प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगी कभी। Why? आपके घरों में कभी भी you are not going to have more than like 4 or 5 kilowatts of load. So you are not going to have a penalty over there. But if you are running an industry, आपकी इंडस्ट्री के अंदर मोटर्स हैं, all those motors, they are going to have a power factor very small. When like 10-20 motors are working, you are going to have a penalty added. वो क्या करेगा WAPDA? WAPDA in that case will attach a VAR meter and a power factor meter at your facility, and it will measure the power factor. अगर वो 0.85 से नीचे जाएगा, then you are going to be penalized over there. Now your household bills, आप WAPDA का बिल अगर दे रहे हो, अगर चोरी नहीं कर रहे हो, अपना बिल खुद दे रहे हो, तो the bill which you are actually giving is the active power only. आप क्या मेजर करते हो वहाँ पे? You just have the P power measured, take it kilowatt, multiply it by the number of hours, that is kilowatt hour. 1 kilowatt hour is equal to 1 unit of energy. WAPDA नहीं लगाएगा तो आपके पास पावर फैक्टर कम होना शुरू हो जाएगा, और इसकी वजह से आपकी वोल्टेज ड्रॉप डाउन होना शुरू हो जाएगी। WAPDA आपने अक्सर देखा होगा, मे बी आई डोंट नो इफ एनीवन हैज़ गॉन टू लिबर्टी और समवेयर एरिया, जहाँ पे आपके पास शॉप्स के अंदर एक शॉप में 200-300 बल्ब लगे हैं, CFLs लगे हुए हैं। आप अगर वहाँ जाके वोल्टेज सिर्फ मेजर कर लो किसी के पैनल के ऊपर, अक्सर आप किसी शॉप में एंटर होते हो तो वहाँ पे आपको वो पैनल लगा होता है, वहाँ वोल्टेज मीटर लगा हुआ है, वहाँ वोल्टेज 190 ही आते हैं। वाई? बिकॉज वहाँ पे रिएक्टिव पावर कंजम्पशन इतनी ज़्यादा है कि वहाँ पे वोल्टेज ड्रॉप होना शुरू हो जाता है। वी विल प्रूव दिस एज दिस कोर्स गो ऑन कि Q एंड V दे हैव एन इनवर्स रिलेशनशिप, ये हम प्रूव करेंगे। इफ रिएक्टिव पावर इंक्रीजेज, voltage reduces down. ये हम prove करेंगे after the midterm when we talk about synchronous generator. So keep your questions up till that time, but before that you can have an idea what I am talking about. Any questions with this? I hope this is clear. Please kindly go through, if this is Chapman, let me see this one, I guess I have Chapman. Please kindly go through the article 1.9 of Chapman. Whatever I have just discussed is article 1.9 from Chapman. Please kindly go through this one. This is very important. Active power, reactive power, P and Q being discussed over here. G, any questions? Oh, yeah, I am almost at 9.8. So I hope this is clear that you have a reactive power and you have an active power inside your core. Active power कहाँ खर्च हो रही है? Heat में convert हो रही है. And if I have a reactive power, that is being consumed for the flux inside your core. Then coming on to the hysteresis and eddy current losses. Eddy current losses, we know they are being produced because of the rate of change of flux. The next thing is the hysteresis losses, and I hope you are already familiar. That is the area under the curve over here. And you already are familiar with this formula. We proved it when we talked about the self-inductance and the mutual inductance. The energy stored inside an inductor was a closed integral for I phase I into d lambda. ठीक है, ये हमने प्रूफ किया था वहाँ पे. The energy over there. So over here, if I am interested in this I phase, what is I phase? The current which is producing this BH curve. And what is that I phase? This is equal to, according to Ampere's law, HC into LC by N. And here for d lambda, I know lambda is equal to N d phi. N is constant and change नहीं हो रहा. The only thing that is changing is d phi. So because the flux is changing. So when I integrate it and have some cancelling over here, I get W equal to AC into LC, and then the formula. Same thing over here. ACLC is the volume, and HC into DBC, this is the area under the curve. आपके पास क्या हो रहा है? AC यहाँ पे change हो रहा है. When AC is changing for every change in your dB or P over here, that is actually the area under the whole curve. So this loss over here is the hysteresis loss over here given by AC into LC into this integral over here. Any questions with this, G?